Who had a hit on whose head?
Big Jook had a hit on Dolph head or whatnot.
After that testimony dropped, Big Jook turned up dead, and all fingers pointed to Key Glock. But now, it looks like he's not done. Word is Glock just confronted Yo Gotti face to face, and things are getting bloody.
Everybody know, like I know, like you know, real like that.
Could Gotti be next? The war in Memphis is heating up again. Let me break it down. The streets never forget how a rejected deal started a deadly war. Before we dive into the current situation with Key Glock stepping up, we gotta understand the foundation of this whole mess. It all started back in August 2014 when young Dolph declined a record deal from Yo Gotti's collective music group, CMG. Now, on the surface, this might seem like just another rapper choosing independence over a major label deal, but in the streets of Memphis, respect and pride run deeper than business contracts. Young Dolph, born Adolph Thornton Jr., was already building something special with his independent label, Paper Route Empire. He preferred to invest in himself rather than join another artist movement, and honestly, you gotta respect that hustle. But Yo Gotti, who was already established as one of Memphis's biggest names, reportedly didn't take the rejection too well.
Like, Dolph, come on, let's do this, bro. Let's put together a joint venture. Let me sign you. Let's do that. And I'd be like, no, I rock with you, but I can't do that. But we still cool. We still doing music. We still kicking. We still doing whatever we do.
What's wild is that these dudes had history going way back. They weren't strangers in the streets. They had actual connections through family and neighborhood ties. But sometimes that makes the beef even more personal. You feel me? By February 2016, tensions started boiling over when Dolph publicly called Yo Gotti his biggest hater on Twitter, claiming that Gotti switched up on him after he declined the CMG deal. This wasn't just some internet drama. This was real street politics playing out on social media for the whole world to see. The situation got even more heated when Dolph released his album King of Memphis in February 2016, which was seen as a direct challenge to Yo Gotti's self-proclaimed title. In the hood, claiming to be the king of anything ain't just marketing. It's a statement that can get you tested real quick, and tested is exactly what happened. CMG artist Black Youngstar started getting involved, releasing diss tracks and even filming videos where he was armed and searching for Dolph in South Memphis. This wasn't just rap beef anymore. This was street politics with real consequences.
It's really overstated, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just like this, like Yo Gotti was one of the first ones, he might been the first one to come like, man, dawg, let's do a paper route in CMG. You know what I mean? Like, that's my label. Paper route.
Right.
Every time you see me, you're gonna see some PRE ice. You know what I mean? Like, for real, for real. And the only reason I didn't do it, like, I could've went over there and got with Gotti and got the co-signer and sped my whole process up. But at the same time, I couldn't do it because I had too much of my own money and too much of my own time invested into it. So it wouldn't have made sense for me.
What's crazy is that even Dolph himself tried to downplay the beef in interviews, calling it overstated and explaining it was just business. But the streets don't always operate on business logic, especially when pride and respect are involved. The first major escalation came in February 2017 when Dolph released Play With Yo Bit, a direct diss track targeting Yo Gotti with personal attacks. This wasn't just competitive rap, this was disrespectful on a level that demanded a response in the streets. And the response came swift and violent. Just weeks later, Dolph's vehicle was shot at over 100 times in Charlotte, North Carolina. The only reason Dolph survived was because his SUV was bulletproof. Think about that for a second. Over 100 bullets fired at one man, and he walked away because he was smart enough to bulletproof his ride. Black Youngstar and 2 others were arrested in connection with the Charlotte shooting, but charges were later dropped due to insufficient evidence. This set a pattern that would continue for years. Violence followed by legal proceedings that never seemed to stick, but Dolph wasn't backing down. If anything, the attempt on his life seemed to fuel his independence even more. He released an album called Bulletproof and the single 100 Shots, basically turning the attempt on his life into a victory lap. That's the kind of street credibility that money can't buy and labels can't manufacture. The violence escalated again in September 2017 when Dolph was shot multiple times outside the Lowe's Hollywood Hotel in Los Angeles. Yo Gotti was initially named as a person of interest since he was staying at the same hotel, but the LAPD cleared him of involvement. Corey McClendon, a Memphis resident, was arrested for attempted murder. What's important to understand is that during all this drama, both artists were still building their careers and making money. This wasn't some broke street beef. These were successful businessmen whose pride in street politics were interfering with their bag. Dolph had turned down a reported $22 million deal to maintain his independence, while Gotti was building CMG into one of the most successful independent labels in hip-hop.
Yo Gotti was texting my phone for 2 years straight. What you doing, bro? What you working on, bro? Let's do this. know what I'm saying? Like, let's do that. Like, it's cool, it's cool.
This quote from Dolph really shows how complex the situation was. Even while all this street drama was happening, Gotti was still reaching out, still trying to find a way to work together. But sometimes in the hood, too much has happened for things to ever go back to normal. The thing that makes this whole situation even more tragic is that both men were from the same city, had similar backgrounds, and were actually connected through family and neighborhood ties. Dolph even mentioned that one of the men who raised Gotti was his dad's best friend's cousin. In a city as small as Memphis, these kinds of connections run deep, which makes the violence even more senseless. As we move into 2018, 2019, and 2020, both artists continued their careers while this tension simmered in the background. Dolph released successful projects like Rich Slave, which peaked at number 4 on the Billboard 200, while Gotti was building CMG into a powerhouse with artists like Moneybagg Yo and Glorilla. On the surface, it looked like maybe the beef was cooling down, that business was taking priority over street politics. But that's the thing about street beef. It never really goes away. It just goes underground until something triggers it to explode again. And unfortunately, what happened next would change everything forever. The foundation was set, the players were in position, and the streets of Memphis were watching. What nobody knew was that this decade-long tension was about to reach its most tragic conclusion, and a young man named Key Glock, Dolph's cousin and protege, would be left to carry the torch and demand answers for what happened to his family. November 17, 2021, the day Memphis lost a king. November 17, 2021. That's a date that's burned into the hearts of every real hip-hop fan, especially those who understood what young Dolph represented to the culture. On this day, the streets of Memphis would witness something that still sends shockwaves through the community, the murder of young Dolph at Makeda's homemade butter cookies. But this wasn't just any regular day. Dolph was in his element, doing what he always did, staying connected to his community, supporting local businesses, and moving through Memphis like the king he was. What happened that day would expose a conspiracy that went deeper than anyone imagined, involving alleged hits, bounties, and a web of street politics that would ultimately lead to Key Glock stepping up to demand justice for his fallen cousin. Let's break down exactly what went down that day and how it connects to everything we're seeing play out right now.
It's crazy because I was in Las Vegas last year when he passed, and I was in Las Vegas again this year, and it's like, it's crazy. How are you feeling, man, a year later?
I can't just get over the feeling. Like, it is what it is. It stuck with me, but I'll be all right.
That's Key Glock, speaking a year after Dolph's death, and you can hear the pain in his voice. This wasn't just his cousin. This was his mentor, his big brother, the man who brought him into the game and showed him how to navigate the industry while staying true to the streets. Young Dolph was fatally shot on November 17, 2021, suffering 22 gunshot wounds to his head, neck, torso, and arms. The brutal nature of the attack wasn't random. This was an execution, plain and simple. Surveillance footage captured 2 men, later identified as Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith, exiting a white Mercedes and opening fire in broad daylight. But here's where the story gets really deep, and where Key Glock's current stance against Yo Gotti starts to make perfect sense. During the murder trial in September 2024, prosecutors alleged that Anthony Big Jook Mims, Yo Gotti's brother, orchestrated a $100,000 hit on young Dolph. Think about that for a minute. $100,000. That's not just street beef money. That's calculated, organized, and planned out. This wasn't some heat-of-the-moment situation. According to the prosecution, this was a deliberate business decision disguised as street justice.
Straight drop only got $800 for that hit. Can you imagine killing somebody and your reward is a PlayStation and maybe a game or 2?
You don't know if that's true or not.
You don't know if it's true, but it sounds insane.
Boozy breaks it down perfectly here. Even if you're living that street life, the math ain't math. Cornelius Smith, one of the shooters, testified that he expected to receive $40,000 for his role in the murder, but only received $800 total. $800 for taking a man's life. That's not just disrespectful to Dolph's memory. It's disrespectful to the whole concept of street code.
$500 and 11. And obviously you're supposed to get $40,000.
Right.
But you got $500 and 11.
The court testimony revealed the sloppy, disorganized way this whole operation was carried out. Smith described receiving $500 in a letter after driving back from Atlanta, then later getting another $300 from someone connected to Justin Johnson. All payments stopped after that, and Smith never received the full amount he was promised. But the allegations go even deeper than just Dolph's murder. A viral list shared by DJ Academics in October 2024 alleged that Big Jook had placed bounties on multiple Paper Route Empire members, including $100,000 for Dolph and $50,000 for Key Glock. Let that sink in. Key Glock wasn't just mourning his cousin. He was allegedly walking around with a $50,000 bounty on his head. Can you imagine the paranoia, the stress, the constant looking over your shoulder? This wasn't just about music anymore. This was about survival.
Maintaining, like I'm not getting better, I'm not getting worse, I'm I'm just here right now.
When Key Glock says he's maintaining, he's speaking the language of someone who's been through trauma. This ain't just grief. This is the mental state of someone who's been targeted, who's lost family, and who's trying to process it all while staying strong for his team and his fans. The impact of Dolph's death on Key Glock can't be overstated. On November 21st, 2021, Key Glock broke his silence on Instagram stories, writing, "Stop asking me if I'm okay, knowing damn well I ain't." A day later, he posted an even more heartbreaking message. "Damn bro, I'm lost. My heart is torn, my brain about to explode. It hurts when I breathe. Why you leave me so soon? I'll never be the same. You was my left-hand man, my brother, my cousin, my mentor, and drink partner." That's not just social media posting. That's a man's soul crying out in pain. The relationship between Dolph and Key Glock was deeper than music. Dolph was the one who brought Glock into the game, who taught him how to navigate the industry, who showed him how to stay independent and build generational wealth.
Did you feel like that's kind of what happened with Dolph, where you saw like there was just all of a sudden everybody was a young Dolph fan? You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's just a normal thing when death occurs. It's just like, I ain't gonna say it's wrong to show love, but if it ain't genuine, why do it? Like, if it ain't real, like, you know what I'm saying? So everybody know, like I know, like you know, bro, like that. You know what I'm saying? And me either, but we gonna be ourselves no matter what, and we gonna show up and show out and stand out.
Key Glock's frustration with the fake love that came after Dolph's death shows his understanding of the game. He saw through all the performative mourning and recognized that many of the same people posting "Rip Dolph" were the same ones who didn't support him while he was alive. The murder trial revealed even more disturbing details about the planning and execution of Dolph's killing. Justin Johnson was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison, while Cornelius Smith pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and testified against Johnson. But here's where the plot gets even thicker. On January 13th, 2024, Big Jook himself was killed in a targeted assassination-style attack outside a Memphis restaurant. No arrests have been made in Big Jook's murder, and the connection to Dolph's death, while speculated, hasn't been officially confirmed.
Well, after Dolph gets killed, Yo Gotti's brother, Big Juke, gets killed. Did you know Big Juke?
Yeah, Juke was my boy.
Oh, that was your friend?
Yeah, that was my boy.
Well, in the trial, in the Justin Johnson straight drop trial, they say that Juke had a 100K hit on Dolph.
Even Boozy, who was friends with Big Jook, acknowledges the allegations while expressing how messy the whole situation became. This wasn't just about two rappers beefing. This became a cycle of violence that claimed lives on both sides. The street politics behind this whole situation are complex and deep-rooted. The feud wasn't just personal. It represented a clash between two prominent Memphis-based labels, CMG and Paper Route Empire. The rivalry was evident in the lack of collaborations between CMG and P.R.E. artists, with Reddit discussions noting that pre-artists like Key Glock were held back from features with major artists due to the feud. But what makes Key Glock's current position so powerful is that he's not just speaking from emotion, he's speaking from a place of knowledge. He saw how the industry politics played out. He watched his cousin navigate threats and violence while trying to build something positive for his community. Key Glock released Proud in January 2022, a heartfelt tribute to Dolph that became his first entry on the Billboard Hot 100. The track was described as a rap memorial that captured both grief and determination, with Glock calling it a letter to Dolph expressing feelings he couldn't fully articulate. The song showed Key Glock's evolution from just young Dolph's cousin to someone carrying the torch for Paper Route Empire and everything it represented. But it also showed his pain, his anger, and his determination to seek justice for what happened to his family. As we move into 2024 and 2025, the legal proceedings continue, but Key Glock's patience seems to be running thin. The allegations, the trial testimony, the pattern of violence, it all points to a conspiracy that goes deeper than just street beef. And now, with more information coming to light, Key Glock is ready to step up and demand answers from the man many believe is ultimately responsible. Yo Gotti, the streets never forget, and neither does family. What we're about to see in part 3 is Key Glock finally breaking his silence and confronting the elephant in the room that everyone's been afraid to address directly. The confrontation. Key Glock steps up and demands justice. We've covered the history, we've broken down the murder, and now we're at the moment everyone's been waiting for. Key Glock finally stepping up to confront Yo Gotti about young Dolph's death. But this isn't just about one man seeking revenge. This is about justice, accountability, and the future of Memphis hip-hop. What's happening right now is bigger than music. It's about the soul of a city and whether the streets will ever get the closure they deserve. The transformation of Key Glock from young Dolph's younger cousin to the voice demanding justice for his murder has been years in the making. Since November 17th, 2021, Glock has been carrying the weight of not just his own grief, but the expectations of an entire community that looked up to Dolph as more than just a rapper. He was a symbol of independence, authenticity, and Memphis pride.
Now, obviously, we haven't really heard much from you since the tragic passing of Dolph. Is this the first time that you've done an interview since he passed?
Yeah.
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 I'm just wondering how you feeling, how you holding up. I mean, obviously, something that's...
I'm content. I'm all right.
When you say content, what does that mean? Like
I'm maintaining. Like I'm not getting better. I'm not getting worse. I'm just here right now.
For years, Key Glock maintained this stance, just maintaining, staying focused on the music, honoring Dolph's legacy through Paper Route Empire. But as more details emerged from the trial, as the allegations against Big Jook became public knowledge, and as the pattern of violence became impossible to ignore, something shifted in Key Glock's approach. The turning point came with Key Glock's 2022 release, Already Know 2, Yo Gotti Diss, marking his direct entry into the conflict that had been simmering for over a decade. This wasn't just a diss track. This was Key Glock officially stepping into the role of defender of young Dolph's legacy and Paper Route Empire's honor. But the real confrontation goes beyond music. In July 2023, during a Fan Quanda session, Key Glock avoided a question about collaborating with CMG artists, responding with a laughing gif. This response spoke volumes. It showed that the division wasn't just professional, it was personal, and Key Glock wasn't interested in playing politics or pretending everything was cool. What makes Key Glock's current position so powerful is that he's not coming from a place of weakness or desperation. Since Dolph's death, Glock has emerged as a leading figure in Memphis rap, signing with Republic Records in March 2025 and releasing his fourth studio album, Glockaveli, on May 2nd, 2025. His success gives him a platform and credibility that can't be ignored or dismissed. The music industry has taken notice too. Key Glock's track, Let's Go, became a sleeper hit with 178 million streams, boosted by TikTok, proving that he's not just riding off Dolph's legacy, he's building his own empire while honoring his cousin's memory. But success hasn't made Key Glock forget where he came from or what happened to his family. If anything, his platform has made him more determined to seek justice and hold people accountable for what happened in Memphis.
We don't say that when we egging on the beef. The whole world never say that when they egging on the beef. When everybody put on a song, everybody egging out, nobody don't be saying that. We feel like that right now, but when it's egging on, it's all fun and games. When everybody promoting the beef against other rappers, they love it.
Boosie's perspective here is crucial because it highlights something important about Key Glock's approach. This isn't about entertainment or creating content for social media. This is about real consequences, real families destroyed, and real accountability for actions that went way beyond music. The confrontation isn't just happening through music either. Key Glock has been strategic in his approach, building his case through actions rather than just words. His commitment to keeping Dolph's name and brand alive has been evident in every move he's made since the murder. From getting a photorealistic tattoo of Dolph to releasing the tribute song Proud, every action has been calculated to honor his cousin while building his own credibility. But the real confrontation is happening in the streets and in the court of public opinion. As more details from the trial become public, the narrative around Yo Gotti's role in the events leading to Dolph's death continues to evolve. While Yo Gotti himself hasn't been directly charged, the allegations against his brother Big Jook have created a cloud of suspicion that follows him everywhere. The street politics around this situation are complex because they involve more than just two individuals. The conflict represents a broader tension between different factions in Memphis, including street gangs like Trilla Mafia and Double RR, which have complicated the situation beyond just music industry politics. What's particularly significant about Key Glock's approach is how he's handled the fake support that emerged after Dolph's death.
Did you feel like that's kind of what happened with Dolph, where you saw like, there was just all of a sudden everybody was a young Dolph fan? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's just a normal thing when death occurs. It's just like, I ain't gonna say it's wrong to show love, but if it ain't genuine, why do it? Like, if it ain't real, like, you know what I'm saying? So everybody know, like I know, like you know, fuck with bro like that.
This understanding of the game has made Key Glock's confrontation with Yo Gotti more credible. He's not just talking, he's been watching, learning, and building his case methodically. The legal implications of this confrontation can't be ignored either. With Justin Johnson convicted and sentenced to life in prison for Dolph's murder, and Cornelia Smith's testimony detailing the alleged conspiracy involving Big Jook, the foundation has been laid for potential future legal action against others who may have been involved. Key Glock's position is strengthened by the fact that he's not just making accusations, accusations. He's pointing to court testimony, trial evidence, and documented patterns of behavior. When he confronts Yo Gotti, either directly or through his music and public statements, he's backed by more than just street rumors or personal feelings. The business aspect of this confrontation is also significant. CMG and Paper Route Empire represent two different philosophies in the music industry. CMG operating more like a traditional label with major industry connections, while PRE maintained its independence and direct connection to the streets. Key Glock's success with Republic Records while maintaining PRE proves that Dolph's vision was correct. You can achieve mainstream success without compromising your independence or authenticity. This success gives Key Glock the platform and credibility to challenge Yo Gotti, not just as a grieving family member, but as a successful artist in his own right.
Well, I hate that rap beef. I hate it, bro. I hate it. I ain't never seen nothing good come from it. Never. But some records sold that the black man ain't gonna get the money for.
Boozie's final point here is crucial because it shows the bigger picture of what Key Glock is confronting. This isn't just about personal justice. It's about changing a culture that profits from black trauma and violence while the communities affected continue to suffer. The confrontation between Key Glock and Yo Gotti represents more than just two men dealing with past grievances. It represents a moment where the Memphis hip-hop community has to decide what values it wants to uphold moving forward. Will success in the music industry continue to be built on violence and intimidation, or will artists like Key Glock be able to create a new model based on authenticity, community support, and genuine artistic excellence? As we move into 2025, Key Glock continues to build his career with projects like Glockavili and new singles like World Is Ours. But his message remains clear. Justice for young Dolph isn't just about the past. It's about setting the standard for the future. The streets are watching, the industry is listening, and Key Glock is making it clear that some things are more important than politics, more important than business deals, and more important than maintaining fake peace. Family is family, and when family is taken from you through violence and conspiracy, someone has to stand up and demand accountability. That someone is Key Glock, and his confrontation with Yo Gotti, whether through music, legal channels, or public pressure, represents a moment of reckoning that Memphis hip-hop has been building toward for over a decade. The question now isn't whether Key Glock will continue to confront Yo Gotti about young Dolph's murder. The question is how far he's willing to take it and what the consequences will be for everyone involved. The transformation we've witnessed in Key Glock since November 17, 2021 shows a man who's evolved from a grieving cousin into a determined leader who refuses to let his family's death go unanswered. His approach has been methodical, strategic, and built on a foundation of evidence rather than just emotion. Recent developments in 2025 show Key Glock continuing to honor Dolph's legacy while building his own empire. His European tour success, his Republic Records deal, and his continued chart performance prove that he's not just surviving in Dolph's shadow. He's thriving and using that success as a platform to keep pressure on those he believes are responsible for his cousin's death. The impact of this confrontation extends beyond just Key Glock and Yo Gotti. It's affecting the entire Memphis music scene, where artists are being forced to choose sides or find ways to navigate the tension without becoming targets themselves. The alleged blackballing attempts that Key Glock has faced due to street gang affiliations show how deep this conflict runs and how it continues to affect business decisions in the industry. But Key Glock's response to these challenges has been to double down on his independence and authenticity. Rather than compromise or seek peace at any cost, he's chosen to honor his cousin's memory by maintaining the same principles that young Dolph died for: independence, authenticity, and loyalty to family and community. The confrontation is also playing out in ways that go beyond public statements or diss tracks. Key Glock's refusal to work with CMG artists sends a clear message that some bridges can't be rebuilt, some relationships can't be repaired, and some injustices can't be forgiven or forgotten. That brings us to the end of this video. For more interesting videos like this, click on the cards on your screen.